mute everybody so I can hear what I'm doing. And we're good to go. Let me see if I can find pictures of people. There we go. Marvelous. Right, let's do it. Oh, where should we start this morning? I think we'll start with our sort of windscreen wipers in 1990s this morning. I feel the need for windscreen wipers. So sitting on your bum, legs wide, knees bent. And then when you're ready, take your hands back behind you so you've got some support, and then letting the knees windscreen wiper from side to side. And to start with, kind of keeping the chest facing forward. So the movement's just coming from the sort of the hips, the pelvis and the legs. And then if you want to go a little bit kind of, I don't know, you can make it a little bit bigger and let things start to twist. I kind of like to let my hips twist as well. Just get some rotation through the spine, as well as the legs and the hips. And you can alter your hand position so you can be more upright, which alters things a little bit as to how it feels. And a couple more like that. And then bring the knees down to one side, whichever side, doesn't matter. I'm not aiming for a 90-90 or anything like that. I'm just bringing the legs down wherever they've landed is fine. And then I'm going to switch without hands as best you can. So wherever your legs need to be. But now we've got a twisting and moving at the hips, but without the support of the hands. I'm kind of inching my way off my mat here. And just switching sides, side to side. And again, I'm not kind of overly concerned about what my upper body's doing. I'm kind of twisting and just letting my body kind of go with the flow, really. There's pros and cons to keeping everything still, but I kind of like to move. I'm working my way towards you. I'm definitely off my mat now. A couple more. And last one. And then coming onto all fours, tuck the toes under. You can have your feet flat if you wish, but it's just a bit of a stretch for the feet. So tuck the toes under and then sit your butt back towards your heels. And from there, you're going to take, let's go right hand. So right hand just lightly resting on the back of the head. And you're going to touch your right elbow towards your left wrist. It's opposite wrist. And then open up to the sky. And I'm trying to get my armpit up to the sky and then releasing back down. So touching elbow to wrist and then opening out. Keeping your butt on your heels, wrist touch, spine twist. A couple more on one side. Opening right out. Last one. And then switching sides. So left hand lightly behind the head, no pulling on the neck. Opposite elbow to wrist, and then opening out to the sky. Wrist touch and open. One more. Opening out and release, and then come back to a proper all fours position with hands under shoulders, knees under hips, again toes tucked. So we're coming into our knee hover, just practicing the knee hover to start. 4-point bridge. So push the floor away, hover the knees just a fraction of an inch off your mat, and just hold for a moment and breathe. See how that feels, and then release back down. So same again, pick up the knees, hold and breathe, and then release it back down. And I'm going to add in a rock back. So same thing, hover the knees as low as you can, and then you're going to take your butt back towards your heels and then spring it forward. Butt back towards your heels, spring it forward. And again. So however high your knees are, and you can kind of see them, see what they're up to, just challenge yourself to see if you can keep them at the same level, even if they're a bit higher than mine. Let's see if you can keep them at the same height the whole time. Last two. Last one. And then lower the knees down. We're going to come into sort of a modified donkey kick with the band. So grab a band, hook it round your foot, a foot, and you're going to hold it with the opposite hand. So we have done this one before, but it feels like forever ago. You're holding it with the opposite hand, sort of there. The hand is going to hover off the mat once I get going, but that's roughly where you're at, just in front of your knees. So once you set up, you're sort of in a three-point kneeling position with one foot in the band and the hand holding the band in the opposite hand. So from there, you're going to pick up your whichever knee it is, banded knee, obviously, and reach the leg away. So it's kind of a modified donkey kick because we're stretching out the leg and then bend it back in. So kick it up and away, so the leg's coming level with the body, and bend it back in. Kick it up and away, bend it back in. And just check in with the standing leg, if you like. That should be vertical. If it's bending out to the side, bring it back over. Or leaning out to the side, I should say, not bending. Keep reaching. 3, 2, and last one. And bend it in, and then switching sides. You can switch feet. Grab hold of the band. Yep, we all there? Just about, once you set up. Yeah, cool. All right, so from there, same again, holding the band, stretching out the leg, lifting it up to about level, or maybe a little bit higher if you can. Good. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Make sure you're lifting that leg as well as reaching away. And last one. Bend it back in. And then bring in the band, probably the same band. Where did I want to go next with this? Yeah, we will stick with the plan, Kill. I'm going to do some banded bridges. So band around the knees to start with. Band around the knees. Lie yourself down on your back. A little bit of pressure out into the band. So they've got some tension on it, it's not slack between the legs. And then taking the usual approach, we're going to flatten out the lower back slightly, just so it's level with the mat, no force, and then pick up the hips into your bridge. Just holding at the top, you'll see how that feels. Checking in, one long line from shoulders, through hips, through knees. Chest should be away from the chin, so there should be no problem with breathing. And then lower back down. Same thing, straight up. Lovely long line. Really thinking about opening the front of the hips. You might get a little bit of stretch in the quads, and then lower back down. A couple more like that. And lower, and last one. Coming up and holding this time. I'm going to hold at the top. I'm going to press out into the band. So taking it out, and then controlling it in. So pressing out into the band, but controlling that movement back in. Keeping a nice high bridge. Try not to let the hips sink. I'm going to go 4 more. Last 3. Last 2. And last one. And then lower the hips down. And then just because we've not sort of done this since week 1, I don't think it was, take your band off. Let's just do some single leg ones. Let's challenge it up a little bit. So taking the band off, come up into the bridge just the same way. So come up just as we were before. Once you're at the top of that bridge, then we're going to bring one knee in. So we're going to keep it bent to start with. So one knee, 90-90. So you're holding the other side. That glute on the other side is working hard to keep you up in the air. And then we're going to lower and lift the hips. So single leg bridge, lifting and lowering. And I like to power up and then control down. You sort of like lift on a 1 and lower on a 2, 3. So lift on a 1, up, and lower 2, 3. So a bit more power on the up. I'm going to kind of thrust it up there. Down, 2, 3. Last one, up, and lower. And then switch your sides. So we're going to bring the knee down first. So bridging up on both legs. So come up into a nice long bridge with both legs and then bend the other leg in. Holding, just feeling that glute kick in to hold you up there. And then we're going to lift and lower. So lower down, nice and controlled, power up. Lower down, nice and controlled, power up. Good, keep it going. Last couple. And last one. Nicely done, lower it down. And then coming onto our side. So you use the modified side plank and a glute lift. So no band for this one. So start off in one long line, just check in that you've got a beautiful long line. And you're going to do the bending of the bottom leg. So the bottom leg is bent. Top leg is just going to hover off the floor. So you've just got a small leg lift. It's just level with the body. It doesn't need to be high. And you're going to pick yourself up. So you come up into your side plank anyway. You know, we know what a side plank looks like now. But then I want you to think about, instead of just lifting from the sort of your core, if you like, I want you to think about pressing your bottom knee down into the floor. So this would be a side plank. That's all fine. Yeah. Then if you press down from your bottom knee, you kind of come up even further. Yeah. But the work is in this lower glute. There's some work in the core as well, but you want the work in the glute. So we're going to touch the bum down and then press back up. Touch the bum down and then press back up. So I'm kind of going further than the usual plank. Plank would be here. We're going that little bit further to try and get some work in that lower glute. And again. And it sometimes helps to think about leg traveling that way. So this top leg, I'm sending it all that way. Last two. And last one. Nicely done. Good, switching sides. Same again on the other side. Get organized first, nice and long. Body in one long line. Then bend that bottom leg out of the way. Top leg hovers just off the mat. And then same again. So you come up into your plank. We know what plank looks like. And then we send it everything that way to lift that little bit further. Drop your bum down and then reach. Thinking about pressing that bottom knee down into the mat to get the glute to work. Fire up this morning. One more. Well, 3 now. 3, 2. And last one. Nicely done. Lower it down. And then coming back to the band just briefly. Band onto the knees. Around the knees. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go with a heavier band. We're doing fire hydrants, you know, the leg lift out to the side in all fours. I was doing it with the red band, but it just kind of just didn't feel it that much. So I'm going to come on to a slightly heavier band. Entirely up to you. However much you feel like torturing yourself on a Monday morning. So all fours, usual story. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Hip distance apart with the knees to start with. So we're going to do like we did all on one side to begin with. So I'm going to go right leg. So I'm going to pick up my right knee so it's hovering off the mat. And hopefully it's going to stay there. In other words, I'm not going to put it down again until we've done. So right knee out to the side against the resistance of the band, and then control it back down. And same thing, you want the power up, control it back in. Power it up, control it back in. So if you are adding in that little bit of oomph on the lift, make sure you've got some control over that as well. So I'm not just flinging the knee up there. It is controlled, so it's not throwing me off balance. It's not making me tilt my pelvis. Last two. Last one. And then repeat on the other side. So right knee comes down, left knee hovers. And when we're ready, off we go on that side. Power it up, control it down. Same thing as before, make sure the standing leg isn't kind of leaning out to the side. It's your body's way of cheating. Make sure it's vertical. Last couple. And last one. And release. Coming up to standing, you can take the band off for the moment, coming down into some lunges or coming into some lunges. So we're going to go forward lunge into a reach, so reaching lunge. So let's start with the right leg. So if right leg's going first, left arm up to the ceiling, opposite arm, opposite leg. You're going to lunge forward with the right, get organized, good lunge position. You're going to reach as far forward as you can. Maybe you touch the floor. Come back up to vertical arm to the sky, push back. Same again, same side. Lunge, reach, back vertical first before you push back to standing. Same again, big lunge, big reach, big push back. And then take it into your single leg balance if you wish. So same thing, lunge, reach, push back, nearly to a balanced position. Lunge it forward, big reach, vertical, push back into balance. Lunge it forward, reach, vertical, balance. A couple more like that, just in your own time. Nicely done, chaps. Yeah, very good. When you're ready, let's switch sides. Same thing, so if it's the left leg going this time, right arm goes up. Nice big lunge. Check in, get organized, get balanced. Then with the reach, then back up to vertical, and then push back. And add in the balance whenever you're ready. So stepping forward. If you're all balanced and everything's looking good, feeling strong, feel free to push back. You never get the first one. Push back is a balance. Big step, big lunge, big reach. Couple more. Oh, struggling on this side this morning, Kel. Last one. I'm not the only one. Oh, a cat. I know you had a cat, Nicola. Oh, no, it's not Nicola, is it? It's Andrea's cat. Yes, it'd be Andrea's cat. Band, heavy band. So we did this whenever it was, doesn't really matter. We're going to do the banded row just because we don't often get enough rowing action in. So it's going to go under one foot, whichever foot, and hold it in the opposite hand. I think I might turn this way just so you can see what I'm doing. So opposite hand, opposite foot. And then you're just going to assume the same sort of lunge position. So stepping back, just far enough that you can get into a nice flat back position, sort of leaning your forearm, or resting your forearm on your front knee for balance. And then because it's opposite arm, opposite leg, you're going to find that the arm wants to get pulled across towards the foot. The trick with it is also trying to keep it sort of straight down instead of letting it come across. You get the idea when we move. So you're going to go elbow to ceiling and release back down, keeping the arm out. Don't let it creep across. It's a big rowing action to the ceiling. All about the control on the release, as per usual. Control it back to where it started. Good. Big lift, high elbow. Last two. And last one. And release the band, and we switch sides. So same thing on the opposite side. Band under the foot. Holding with the opposite hand. Get yourself into a nice long lunge position. Straight back, leaning forward. And when you're ready, we're going to lift from there. So big high elbow. Keeping the arm perpendicular to the floor instead of letting it creep across. So there's a bit of challenge in keeping the arm out. It's raining on me. Last three. Last two. And last one. Release the band from around your foot. But we are going to take it then onto the toes. I'm sticking with the heavier band, which is a step up for me for this exercise, for the monster walks, crab walks and things. So we'll see how that goes. So once it's around your feet, just check in, make sure that you're not duck footing. So you want almost like a pigeon toe, almost a feeling of turning in, because you want to lead with the heels. So go nice and steady to start with. Soft knees, pick up one foot, take it out to the side, plant it down, and then follow it with the other foot. So going super slow to start with, all about the control. Making your way. I'm going to I'm going to start going back just because I've reached the end of my mat, but you can go as far as you want. So I'm leading with the heel. Keep checking in because your feet will want to turn out. They're quite sneaky, so get it. It's your body's way of dodging the work. So even though there's a little bit of kind of movement of my body tick-tocking from side to side, if you like, you'll notice I'm kind of keeping my hands on my pelvis. So what I'm not doing is hitching the hip. So there's no change, pelvis stays as level as possible. That means the work's coming from the glutes instead of just the momentum of the body. And then come down into a little half squat. So you can come as deep as you want. Well, I say that, you don't want to go much deeper than what I am, but a little half squat. So the same again, but now we're in this kind of squat position. It just changes where the work is slightly. Same area, but different focus. It's working your way backwards and forwards or side to side across your mat. Starting to get tired now. My feet are dragging. I can hear them dragging. It's like, oh, cheating, cheating, cheating. Hear the drag. No dragging of feet. Making our way back. Oh, starting to burn. Feel the burn. I'm going to get to the end of my mat and we'll call it a draw there. Oh, let's add in some quick ones just because they're kind of cool. The little quick ones. Just to finish us off. Take your feet, make sure they're not turning out. Ah, that's me singing because my glutes are burning. Oh. Gotta do that on a Monday morning. It's got to be done. All right, you can kick your band off. Let's come down onto the mat, finish off with a 90-90 stretch. So usual story, 90-90 at the hips and knees, or thereabouts, wherever we get to is fine. Once we're all there, square your chest off over your front shin, and we're just going to lean into that here. So nothing particularly spectacular doing anything here really, other than just leaning into it and feeling that stretch roughly around those muscles that we've just been working with the band. And then I'm going to try and turn more towards, if I'm angling my chest now, I'm angling my chest more over my front foot and leaning forward there. And it just makes it that little bit harder, or a different stretch. It's not harder, I suppose, just different. And then for me, just because I want to get a little bit deeper into it and I can't get much further forward with my leg in this position, I'm going to bring my front foot a little bit closer to my back knee so that I can lean more into it. So I've got a little bit more ability, if you like, to get my chest further forward. So it shifts where I feel the stretch, and it's not quite as deep for me, but it does mean that I can get a little bit further into it. You can bring your elbows down if you wish, but what I'm trying to do is kind of keep my chest lifted. So I'm not just kind of folding over my leg. I can make it look like I can get further into it, but I'm actually bringing my chest forward. I'm leading with my chest. So if I wanted to get down to the mat, I'd be wanting to get my chest down. And then release out of that, and then let's switch sides. So same again, if you can get around 90-90, good, all good. If it's not quite there, that's okay too. This is what it is. And then same thing, so we're going to start with the chest leading over the front shin. So coming into that stretch there. And then altering the angle slightly, so more towards the foot. I'm using my hands quite a little bit here, just to kind of push me into it a little bit more. This hand particular, I'm kind of using it to push me in that direction. And then the same thing, again, you can come straight back over, or you want to close that foot closer towards the back knee, front foot towards back knee. You'll probably find that you can come a little bit further over with the body. So just leaning into it, breathing and holding, static stretch for a change. And release out of that, and then just one last one, bringing the soles of the feet together. Have a little rock from side to side. So I'm bringing, in my case, you can either bring your heels to your butt, or you can see what I'm doing. I'm actually inching my butt closer to my heels. So either way, as close as you can. And then I'm just using my muscle strength, if you like, to push my knees down towards the floor. So I'm using the ability of my muscles rather than, you'll have used your elbows and stuff, and that's fine too. But for this, I'm going to make it more active. So, and then once I'm as far as I can go, all I'm going to do is slightly bounce. But again, I'm not using anything sort of outside force, if you like. I'm just using my own muscle power. I can't think of another way to phrase that. So gentle bounce, keeping the chest nice and lifted. So you're not kind of slumped into it. Chest lifted. Bounce the legs. just stretching out the inner thigh muscles, because we've just worked the outside of the butt so hard this morning. And release, and we'll call it a draw there. Well done, chaps. Nice to see you. Have a good Monday, and I will see you tomorrow.